Hey guys, this is Ram. Today I'm going to talk about why specialized models matter and how we are that to OpenLedger. OpenLedger is an AI blockchain that enables users to contribute data sets and get monetized for making these models much better and much more specialized. We provide an end-to-end framework for that, right? If you take a look at AI, there are three major components to that. The first one is compute. A lot of firms over the last 2 years, these large compute providers have solved compute majorly. But then there is data and models. We are at a stage where there is a lot of need for proprietary data sets because AI is pretty much consumed the internet data, which is very generic. Now we would need for like data sets that are from organizations, data sets from our individual users, and data sets that are owned by unique ideas behind various things that we want to build, right? And we want to see in OpenLedger how we can leverage that, how we can bring that to the table, and have people get rewarded for that. Before I talk more about that, let me talk about how we started and where we are right now. We started in the industry about 10 years back, almost a decade. We started as a blockchain machine learning company, more on consulting for blockchain and also machine learning consulting as well. We got an opportunity to work with a lot of enterprises in the space. This includes Walmart, Viacom, Header Hashcraft, Sony, and many more. We implemented blockchain-based solutions for them as there was large migration happening between traditional Web2 companies trying out Web3 during 2021. We also had an opportunity to automate most of the things that they're doing, right? And what we kind of understood is that it's great building a product for enterprises. We are making massive revenue. We're doing about $40 million in revenue. We have 200 people across the globe. But what if we can have this product provided to the end consumer? That's how OpenLedger's idea came about. We started building that. And as we started building OpenLedger, what we kind of figured out is that today's AI is very generalized, right? We all use ChatGPT. Most of the questions that we ask is about our everyday lives. Nothing serious. It's just about making our lives much more productive. And they are good for that, right? Every technology starts to be very generalized initially. Like Google search is a generic search engine. But once you go deeper to that, you have LinkedIn for professional connections. You have an e-commerce website to find products you want to buy. You have a taxi product like Uber where you can actually go ahead and catch a cab. So what really changes here, right? Technology, once there's an innovation, comes out to be generalized. But once you start to implement that for real world use cases where you want to increase your productivity much more and you want to actually use it for products that would matter for you, then it needs to be specialized. Technology has to go much more specialized and actually solve use cases that we need. And then most of this AI today is like centralized, right? But AI is for like public goods. I'm not here to argue that centralized companies are bad and decentralized companies are great. But when you're building something for like public good, you want to make sure that it is as open as possible. And that's where people can contribute together to actually have better innovations to happen. Another third problem that we all see today with AI is that most of these AI models are a black box. You really don't know how these models work, right? When you get an output from a model, you ask a question to it, you don't know what kind of data went into it, how the context was got by the model, and what kind of answer it gave. So you don't have an end-to-end provenance of how this model works. So these are major three problems that is there in the current AI scene. And how are we solving that? We provide an end-to-end platform for making the model much more specialized. As we spoke about, the model today are trained on internet data. These are very generic information, but models have to become much better. They need to have data sets which are specialized. They need to have data sets which are proprietary, owned by people to make them useful for various use cases. Let's take a scenario. Someone wants to build a model for Solidity. Solidity is one of the most used programming language in the Web3 space. And Cursor, which is a generic programming model, it's a code generation model, does not really understand Solidity very well. It's not an expert in that, right? We provide an end-to-end platform for someone who is interested to build like a Solidity model. That's an example I'm talking about. They can collect data sets around Solidity, use OpenLedger to train these data sets into the existing models that are available, open source models, and have them hosted on us for agents and apps to use. As these models get built by collecting these data sets, as these agents to use them, as apps use them, as the end users use them, the revenue that is being generated by these models is passed back to the data contributors. So it's been shared between the data contributor and the model developer. And how we do that, right? We can't just simply go ahead and have this data being superimposed to a model and the revenue being just shared as it is. You need to have a verifiable system to prove that why someone is getting paid. And that's how we built a proof of attribution protocol. What it really does is basically every time a model gets built on OpenLedger, a user goes ahead and queries that. We figure out on each query, on each inference that happens, which kind of data set actually made an impact on that particular data, like on that output, right? And as the impact gets made on these inferences, we use that to share the revenue between the model creator and the data contributor. So you get paid every time your data was useful in a model. And the third thing that we do is that we go ahead and provide a platform. We go ahead and do attribution, but all of this has to be on an immutable record, right? That's how you know that anyone can across the globe can trust a platform. They don't have to trust RAM. They have to know that if they go ahead and contribute data, they're going to get paid for it. If someone builds that model, they know that they're going to get rewarded for it. So that's why we built our blockchain, which is a layer 2 built on OP Stack, which is specifically designed to have data on chain, the model's provenance on chain, the inference on chain, and also the attribution is on chain as well. These are the three solutions that we have built in order to make model development much more easier, much more rewarding among the community. Our architecture explains the same as well. Let me go ahead and talk about that. We have an application layer where the model gets built and a blockchain layer which relays whatever happens on the model layer as well and the application layer. And all of this works as a seamless platform to enable a smooth operation for people who want to build models to use our platform and access this very easily. I'm going to talk much more about the products that are there on OpenLedger. Whatever I explained, those are brought into three different products. The first product is a data attribution product where people can collect data sets. The second is Model Factory, where people can build AI models with this. And the third is OpenLoRa, which is a chat platform. Data nets or data attribution. If someone has an idea, let's take an example of the solidity model that we spoke about. They can go ahead and start a contract. Think of this to be rule engine of what kind of data sets needs to be collected by them. They go ahead and put up a bounty saying that this is the idea we have. We want to build a model for solidity, and we would need code descriptions, and documentations. And they write sort of like a contract for you to start submitting. As an end user, developers across the globe, people who have knowledge about solidity can go ahead and contribute data sets to these data nets. Think of these data nets to be like a repository. As data gets filled, they start to get populated on top of our platform. And once it is done, they move to the next platform, which is called Model Factory. The data is populated into Model Factory. An existing larger language model, an open source model is chosen. Like it could be Llama, Mistral, or any open source models. And this particular data set that was collected is fine tuned or basically superimposed into that model, making that model specialized and having a knowledge with that particular data set. Think of models to be like human brains, right? As humans, how we become experts on a particular field. Let's say till undergraduation, we have a generic knowledge about the world, and then we do specializations, right? Very similarly, models have to be specialized. And that's what really happens over here. Data is collected, knowledge is basically crowdsourced, and then a model is chosen, which has a generic knowledge, and then that is made specialized by superimposing that crowdsourced knowledge into that particular model. Once the model is built, it is then hosted in our platform for every user to go ahead and access a part of OpenLedger. It can also be accessed by agents and apps through our APIs as well. Once you get access to it, you have like a chat interface. Think of this very similarly to most of the AI tools today, where you can query and get an answer. This can also be accessed by agents, as I told you. As they start to answer, as they start to ask questions through inferencing on these chatbots, they go ahead and get to find out how these models work, right? And then let the community provide RLHF. Models are constantly iterated, made better. And as these model made revenue, we go ahead, use proof of attribution, as I told you, to reward back to the data contributors. And our OpenLedger network enables this to happen very seamlessly. The data that is contributed is on chain. The model that collects the data, the provenance is on chain. The inference is on chain. And we also figure out which data caused that inference. That attribution is also on chain. For a data provider, you could have an entire end-to-end audit of how this data was used, where it was used, and why it's getting paid as well. There are people who are building models on us already. We have about 20 plus people on the ecosystem who are building AI models. These are various organizations, firms, and individuals who started building AI models on OpenLedger as we went testnet. The first model that actually got started to build on us is called Data Bootstrap. It's on the third one, but that's the first model that was created. It's by an ex-Google DeepMind team based out of San Francisco. They're the ones who've been basically wanting to build a model using a decentralized network for verticalized internet data, right? Because they could have done this using centralized platforms that they could not have the bandwidth, they could not bootstrap it based on like the initial amount of resource they had. So they wanted to take a decentralized approach and they started using OpenLedger for that. And then we had many folks started to build on us. We have Ambios Network, which is a deepen protocol on Solana, which is building like a model for AL quality. We have Morpheus, which is building a model for like Web3 knowledge. And we have a couple of others who are building models on us right now. We also work with enterprises. We work with Trust Wallet. We're building an AI model for them to enable better wallet interactions. We work with one of the largest e-commerce companies out there, building an AI model for like customer support. We enable models to be built for various sovereign governments to have the tax-based questions be answered as well. So we work with community to enable them to build their own models. We also work with enterprises to make their needs to be solved using specialized models. So using community, we enable data to be rewarded, right? We use attribution to reward them. But for enterprises, when they have their own data, why OpenLedger matters because they can now have an end-to-end audit of how the model works. Let's say they use ChatGPT, they get an answer. They really don't know like what kind of data that actually caused this output to come, right? And if something goes wrong, they don't have an entire audit of what really made this AI actually tell that particular answer. With OpenLedger, you have an end-to-end audit. They know where the data goes in, how it is trained on a model, what kind of context is given to that model, and how an answer comes in. And if something goes wrong, they can actually go back and figure out what kind of poisonous data caused that and they could remove that. Or better, if something went well, there was good answers that actually AI was useful in making decisions, then they can have more of the data to be added as well. That's one of the reasons we have all these enterprises building on us and working with us to enable like better specialized models to be built for them. Apart from the models that are being built on top of OpenLedger, we have ecosystem builders building on top of a network to have better access to OpenLedger. We have a team which is building an app layer on top of us. All these models are only useful if we have agents and apps using them. This is a framework that enables access to our models much better. So think of them to be how you access ChatGPT using an API. You have a better access to them through their SDKs and app interfaces. We also have a team which is building like a stable coin. Currently, the attribution protocol works in a way that is rewarded using OpenLedger tokens. Once we open source it, we would want any AI project out there to go ahead and use our protocol. This particular stablecoin is to have lesser volatility while contributing for micropayments for data contributions. This is one of the protocols that are being built on top of OpenLedger as well. The last one is a DEX platform that's being built on top of OpenLedger. All the models that are being built on us, all these AI models, people would want to monetize them, right? They would want to tokenize them, actually probably earn like the initial revenue. So DEX platform that enables model to be tokenized and traded as well. And it's think of that to be like Pump.Fun or Virtuous, but much more curated, much more longer run compared to like agents that are being created, right? Last piece, we've been running our testnets over the last 4 months, and we have close to about 1 million data contributors contributing data for us. Close to about 100,000 users in our platform who daily use our platform to build AI models and experiment along with them. We are going mainnet soon, and we've been backed by prominent investors and angels in the space. And as we go mainnet, you would have the product to be available for anyone to access, to collect data, build models, and have them get rewarded and paid for as well. If you have any questions, I'll be around. And thanks for the time. It was lovely talking to you guys. And would love to learn more about what you guys build. And if you have any questions around AI, if you have any questions around what we build, let me know. Thank you. Thanks a lot, guys.